The weak must keep running. And that cycle will never stop. On the grasslands of Queen Elizabeth, where the morning mist has yet to lift, 4 lionesses move, in single file, shoulders low, bellies grazing the earth, eyes locked on a single target. Ahead of them, a herd of Cape buffalo forms a crescent. Bulls weighing over 2,000 pounds hold the front line, curved horns like scythes aimed directly at the attackers. This is not a chase, this is a confrontation between 2 survival strategies honed over millions of years. Lions, the only social species among the great cats, stake everything on collective tactics. 90% of all hunts are carried out by the females. Cape buffalo, a fortress of muscle and horn, answer with the power of the herd. When threatened, the entire group turns back to rescue their own. A lioness charges. The buffalo do not run. They counterattack. A bull tosses the lioness into the air, horns twisting with enough force to shatter bone. In this land, even the hunter can become the hunted. Uganda, a land straddling the equator of East Africa, where tropical rainforests cast their shadow over sun-scorched savannas, and the continent's largest freshwater lake meets an endless expanse of swamp. This is a place where everything runs to extremes, from temperature to competition, from drought to flood. Where the Rwenzori Mountains rise over 16,400 feet along the equator, their peaks capped in year-round snow, a geographical paradox that belongs to Uganda alone. And only one law governs all: adapt or vanish. How does one adapt when every corner of this land poses an entirely different challenge, when the fastest are still caught and the strongest still fall? The answers lie scattered across every habitat, from rivers, where time stands still, to canopies, where intelligence decides everything. And the journey begins where water rules all on the banks of the White Nile, where an ancient predator is waiting. It has been waiting for 80 million years. A few more hours make no difference. The White Nile, a river that flows in silence through the heart of Uganda. Beneath the surface, two clouded yellow eyes emerge motionless as stones. Nile crocodile. Its design has remained virtually unchanged since the age of dinosaurs because there is no need to alter what is already perfect. Stretching up to 16 feet, weighing over 1,500 pounds, a machine refined by evolution for a single purpose: waiting. On the riverbank, the crocodile lies frozen in the mud. Not a single muscle twitches across its body. Only the vertical pupils rotate slow, tracking every movement on the shore. A herd of Uganda kob approaches the water's edge. They drink hurriedly, eyes sweeping the surroundings without pause. Ancient instinct warns them that danger always lurks here. The crocodile is in no rush. It knows that haste is the privilege of the weak. Then the moment arrives. A kob lowers its head too far. The water erupts. In less than 1/10 of a second, the crocodile's jaws snap shut with a bite force reaching 5,000 psi, the most powerful in the animal kingdom. Enough force to crush the femur of a full-grown Cape buffalo. The kob never stood a chance. The crocodile rolls beneath the surface. Spinning in its death roller technique, this reptile has perfected since the era when dinosaurs still walked the earth. An extraordinary low metabolic rate allows the crocodile to fast for months between meals. A single large kill can sustain it for weeks. And between those feedings, it continues lying still, waiting and watching. Where water and land converge, patience is not merely a virtue, it is the ultimate weapon. The current carries blood and mud downstream, flowing into the Kazinga Channel, a 20-mile ribbon of water linking Lake Edward and Lake George, cutting through the heart of Queen Elizabeth National Park. This is home to the highest concentration of hippopotamuses on the planet. If the crocodile conquers the water through stillness, the next creature conquers through absolute dominion. The hippopotamus, despite its sluggish appearance, kills more people than any other large animal in Africa, an estimated 500 human lives every year. They do not attack out of hunger. They graze, consuming up to 88 pounds of grass each night along the riverbanks. They attack to defend territory. By day, they submerge to protect their sensitive skin. By night, they venture ashore to feed. Two worlds, one creature. Hippo's skin secretes a reddish mucus, once mistakenly called blood sweat. It is in truth a natural sunscreen and antibacterial shield. They do not truly swim. Their bodies are too heavy and dense to float. Instead, they walk along the riverbed, propelling themselves forward with powerful kicks against the mud. On land, reaching speeds of nearly 19 miles per hour in short bursts, a hippo can outrun any human being. Its jaws open to nearly 90 degrees, revealing two lower canines up to 20 inches long. That is not a warning, that is a declaration of war. Along the Kazinga Channel, hundreds of hippos crowd into every stretch of water, each bull defending a section of river with bellows that send tremors across the surface. When two bulls dispute territory, jaws gape wide. Teeth clash with terrifying force, blood stains the current red. Many of these battles end in death. Beside the hippopods, crocodiles lie motionless on the bank, two species sharing the same water, yet respecting each other's boundaries. Even the Nile crocodile keeps its distance from an adult hippo. Water and land, day and night. The hippopotamus does not choose one, it conquers both. And anyone who ventures too close pays the price. Beyond the Kazinga Channel, water spreads into the northern marshlands, where papyrus reeds tower above head height and mist hangs suspended in mid-air. Mabamba, swamp, so silent that the beating of dragonfly wings can be heard. And within that stillness, a figure stands motionless, nearly 5 feet tall, with a wingspan stretching over 7.5 feet. The shoebill, a creature many call a living dinosaur. Its enormous bill measures nearly 10 inches long, edges sharp as blades, a weapon designed to kill in a single strike. If the crocodile ambushes beneath the waterline, the shoebill is its perfect counterpart, an ambush predator hiding in broad daylight, transforming itself into part of the landscape. It can remain motionless for hours on end, no movement, no blinking, No shift in posture until the lungfish beneath its feet drops its guard. Then everything ends in an instant. A single lunge, the bill snapping shut with devastating precision. The success rate approaches perfection. Worldwide, only an estimated 3,300 to 5,300 individuals remain. Uganda is their last stronghold, where roughly 1,000 of the world's final shoebills hold their ground. From river to channel to swamp, 3 aquatic habitats, 3 rulers, 3 entirely different strategies for conquering the same element. The crocodile waits through concealment. The hippo dominates through brute aggression. The shoebill conquers through absolute specialization. The kingdom of water has revealed its first lesson. Along a single river, no strategy is the only right one, only the strategy best suited to the creature that wields it. On the far bank, where parched earth stretches to the horizon, an entirely different arms race is unfolding, and there, patience is no longer an option. TTA. If the underwater world of Uganda fascinates you as much as it does us, share your thoughts in the comments below. On the parched ground above the riverbank, a pair of yellow eyes tracks a herd of antelope from the crown of a fig tree. The African leopard, not the fastest, not the strongest, not the most numerous, perhaps the most dangerous creature in the shadows. Weighing between 66 and 200 pounds, the leopard is nearly 4 times smaller than a lion. That matters not at all because its strategy was never about strength. Its strategy is to become invisible. A golden amber coat, dappled with hundreds of rosettes, each one a masterwork of camouflage that evolution has sculpted over tens of millions of years. Among the mottled light and shadow of the canopy, the leopard vanishes completely. Even prey standing less than 30 feet away cannot detect the death perched above their heads. The leopard hunts alone. No pack, no collective tactics. Every hunt is a gamble, and the success rate hovers around 20%. Nature compensates with raw power, concealed within a compact frame. A single precise bite to the nape, severing the spinal cord before the victim can react. And then, something astonishing unfolds. The leopard hauls its kill, weighing 3 times its own body weight, up into the tree, beyond the reach of any lion or hyena. On the gnarled fig branch, the meal hangs suspended safe from every thief. A larder in the sky, a survival invention that belongs to the leopard alone. A male's territory spans from 8 to over 40 square miles, patrolled by scent, by claw marks scored into bark, by a deep rumbling call that resonates through the night. From thick forest to open savannah, from highland to lowland, the leopard thrives everywhere, because the invisible are not bound by terrain. Beneath the canopy, a herd of impala grazes on tender shoots. Their eyes never stop scanning, because they know that somewhere in the dappled shade, death is watching. Impala appear across every savannah in Uganda by the thousands, and there is a clear reason for that. On the menu of lions, leopards, and African wild dogs, impala always hold the top position. They are the target of nearly every predator on the grasslands. What, then, keeps this antelope alive when the entire world wants to eat it? The answer lies in the hind legs. An impala can leap 10 feet into the air and 33 feet forward, in a single bound the height of a one-story building and the length of a city bus. When a leopard explodes from the brush, the impala herd detonates in every direction, dozens of rockets launching skyward, creating a labyrinth of motion that no predator can track. That is not panic. That is tactics encoded in instinct across countless generations of natural selection. The leopard vanishes to kill. The impala erupts to survive. The more refined the predator, the more flawless the prey must become. An arms race without end on the grasslands of Uganda. Among the scattering impala, another formation holds its ranks, not fleeing in chaos, but galloping as one solid mass. The zebra has evolved the most controversial solution in modern biology: stripes. For decades, scientists believed the black and white pattern created a visual disruption effect, preventing predators from isolating a single individual when the herd moves as one. Research in 2019 by Dr. Tim Caro of the University of California, Davis overturned that hypothesis. Stripes, according to Caro, evolved primarily to repel tsetse flies insects that carry the parasites responsible for deadly sleeping sickness. Tsetse flies avoid striped surfaces because uneven light reflections disrupt their navigational systems. Even so, the herd camouflage effect remains undeniable. When 30 zebras gallop together at full speed, the boundaries between individuals dissolve. The moving mass becomes a single enormous organism, and the lion cannot identify a point of attack. The stallion leads each family unit, guarding 3 to 5 mares and their foals. He holds the most dangerous position, the rear, directly facing the pursuer. Alongside the zebra, taupe antelope with their burnished reddish-brown coats and lyre-shaped horns move in tandem, 2 species sharing the same herd strategy across the same grasslands. Taupe reach speeds of up to 43 miles per hour among the fastest antelope in Africa. That speed means the most when paired with collective vigilance. Zebras also possess an advantage few would expect, a hindgut fermenter digestive system that allows them to process the coarsest grasses, the kind that impala and every other antelope species ignore. When the dry season drives every species from the barren plains, zebras still find food. They eat what no one else will eat, and that is precisely what keeps them alive. The impala outruns death. The zebra turns the herd into a shield. One species needs neither speed nor numbers, only height. The savannah opens wide, and the tallest silhouettes on the planet emerge against the horizon, silent, stately, untouchable. The Rothschild's giraffe, the tallest land creature alive, a living symbol of vertical adaptation. Standing up to 18 feet tall, a full-grown adult gazes down upon the world from a vantage point no other herbivore can reach. That height is not merely a measurement, it is a survival weapon. When the dry season sweeps across Murchison Falls, low-hanging foliage vanishes within weeks, stripped bare by hundreds of competing grazers. The acacia canopy at 16 feet remains untouched. Only the giraffe can reach it. They wield a tongue stretching 18 inches long, as dexterous as a hand, capable of wrapping around the sharpest thorns without injury. That dark tongue is packed with concentrated melanin, a natural sunscreen that shields it through hours of feeding beneath the equatorial sun. Height carries a cost. To pump blood up to a brain more than 6.5 feet above the heart, the giraffe's heart weighs up to 25 pounds, the largest of any land animal. When bending to drink, blood surges toward the head with pressure that would rupture vessels in any other species. A specialized system of arterial valves automatically engages, preventing blood from flooding the brain. That biological engineering has been studied by aerospace engineers to design pressure suits for fighter pilots. The giraffe also possesses lethal front legs. A single kick generates enough force to knock down a full-grown lion. Males compete for mates by swinging their necks like battering rams against each other, a ritual known as necking a contest that can last hours and end in unconsciousness. At Murchison Falls, the Rothschilds' population has recovered to over 1,500 individuals from just a few hundred in the 1990s. A rare conservation story with a hopeful ending, though the battle is far from over. The dry season does not only take food, it takes water. And when the earth cracks and streams run dry, most herbivores crowd around the last remaining pools where crocodiles and lions wait. The eland has no need to go there. Africa's largest antelope, a mature bull weighing up to 2,000 pounds, bigger than a warhorse. Great spiraling horns, shoulders humped like a bison, footfall so heavy the ground trembles. Looking at them, few would believe this is an antelope. That massive frame conceals the most sophisticated adaptation in the antelope family, the ability to survive when water disappears entirely. Eland extract moisture from the plants they eat, leaves, wild fruit, succulent roots. Their bodies retain water so efficiently they can go weeks without drinking a single drop. Their core body temperature can fluctuate by up to 13 degrees Fahrenheit without harm, minimizing water loss through perspiration. When all others give up, the eland keeps walking. Not fast, not glamorous, but enduring beyond belief. The speed of the impala, the herd of the zebra, the height of the giraffe, the endurance of the eland. Each species changes itself to match the world. One species chose the opposite path, entirely changing the world to match itself. The African elephant, the greatest architect nature has ever produced. A single adult consumes up to 440 pounds of vegetation per day, and in the process of feeding, it destroys, yet that very destruction is an act of creation. When an elephant topples a large tree, sunlight floods the forest floor where grass seeds dormant for years begin to germinate. New grassland is born from the wreckage. Zebras, antelope, and dozens of other grazers arrive benefiting from the landscape the elephant unwittingly sculpted. They feast at a table the elephant has set. During the dry season, when rivers and streams run dry, elephants use their tusks and trunks to dig wells in the earth, reaching underground water sources no other species can access. Those wells sustain hundreds of creatures, from small birds to antelope. The elephant does not merely inhabit an ecosystem, it redesigns it. The matriarch, the elder female who leads the herd, carries within her memory a map of water sources, migration routes, and danger zones spanning hundreds of square miles. That memory is passed down through generations. Losing a matriarch does not mean losing a single animal. It means losing the entire library of survival knowledge for the herd. When a member of the family dies, the remaining elephants stand around the body for hours, touching the fallen with their trunks. Scientists call it a mourning ritual, evidence of an awareness of death. Elephants communicate through infrasound low-frequency sound waves, transmitted through the ground that no human ear can detect. They sense these signals through their feet, connecting with others more than 6 miles away. A wireless communication network evolved long before humans invented the telephone. Elephant dung disperses seeds across the savannah. More than 60 species of trees depend on elephants for reproduction. Lose the elephants, and the forests change irreversibly. An average herd numbers 8 to 15 individuals, held together by unbreakable matrilineal bonds. Females remain with the herd for life. Males depart upon reaching maturity. Changing the world instead of changing oneself. That is the highest form of adaptation on the grasslands and the reason elephants are called ecosystem architects. From the patient crocodile on the riverbank to the elephant reshaping the savannah, Uganda has proven that on land and water alike, every life is an answer to the same question. And in the shadows of the forest canopy, where light seldom touches the ground, that answer takes an entirely different form. Windy, impenetrable forest. The name says it all. In the local language, windy means the place of darkness. Layer upon layer of canopy stacks overhead, vines coil tight as netting, and mist hangs suspended between the trees. This is one of the oldest forests in Africa, and the home of the most staggeringly powerful creature on the planet, the mountain gorilla. The silverback, a mature male weighing over 400 pounds, with strength 10 times that of an adult man. Shoulders broad as a wardrobe, hands capable of snapping bamboo stalks like matchsticks. What makes the silverback the undisputed ruler of Gwindi is not muscle, it is leadership. The silverback leads through presence, not violence. He decides where the group eats, where it sleeps, when it moves. Every decision is a survival calculus for the entire family. When a threat appears, a leopard, a human, a rival silverback encroaching on territory, he rises, beating his chest with both hands, sending a reverberating boom through the canopy. That is not aggression. That is diplomacy through sound, a declaration of power that requires no combat. In the world of the gorilla, avoiding conflict is the highest form of intelligence. The gorilla troop moves slowly through the undergrowth, feeding on leaves, young shoots, and decaying wood. Every footstep carves a new path, and their dung scatters seeds throughout the forest. Researchers call gorillas the gardeners of the forest's silent seed, dispersers that regenerate the very vegetation they depend upon. In Burundi, approximately 604 mountain gorillas reside, accounting for over 57% of the global population. Worldwide, only about 1,063 remain. From the brink of extinction in the 1980s, the population has grown through tireless conservation efforts. Gorilla tracking tourism generates millions of dollars annually for local communities, transforming the gorilla from a burden into an asset. Conservation endures only when it carries economic meaning. Social intelligence, leadership through presence, avoiding conflict rather than seeking it. The gorilla proves that the greatest strength lies not in muscle, but in the ability to keep the whole family alive through each passing day. About 60 miles north of Burundi, in another forest entirely, a primate species has pushed intelligence to a whole new frontier. Kibale Forest, known as the primate capital of the world, home to 13 primate species coexisting side by side, and roughly 1,500 chimpanzees at the highest density on the planet. If the gorilla adapts through social intelligence, the chimpanzee adapts through strategic intelligence, the kind where the line between instinct and calculation all but disappears. They manufacture tools. A twig is stripped of bark, dipped into a termite mound, and withdrawn covered in winged termites. That is not random behavior. That is technique taught from mother to offspring, from one generation to the next. What makes Kibale's chimpanzees renowned throughout the scientific world is their collective hunting behavior, and their prey is the Ugandan red colobus monkey, a smaller primate living high in the canopy. Dr. Richard Wrangham of Harvard has spent decades studying this phenomenon. Chimpanzees coordinate like a military unit. One blocks the escape route, another drives the quarry, a third waits at the ambush point. That is organized tactics demanding communication, coordination, and the ability to predict the behavior of both allies and prey. The Ugandan red colobus, a species threatened with extinction, serves as a perpetual test of chimpanzee intelligence. Every hunt is a contest between the cunning of the predator and the survival instinct of the prey. Chimpanzee intelligence does not end at hunting. Chimpanzee society runs on political alliances. Males form coalitions, betray one another, seize power, and exact revenge. Researchers have documented wars lasting years between rival chimpanzee groups fought over territory, food, and breeding rights. Alongside the chimpanzees, black and white colobus monkeys with their contrasting pelage hide within the Kibale canopy, yet another species in the most complex primate ecosystem on Earth. Tools, tactics, politics. Chimpanzees do not merely adapt to the forest, they forge a society rivaling many early human civilizations. From the quiet strength of the gorilla to the strategic intellect of the chimpanzee, the forests of Uganda have proven that the brain is the ultimate adaptive weapon. Leaving the canopy of Kibale, we'll return to the grasslands of southern Queen Elizabeth Ishasha, where ancient fig trees stand scattered across lush green plains. And upon those branches lions sleep. Tree-climbing lions, a phenomenon documented by science in only 2 places on the entire planet, Ishasha, Uganda, and Lake Manyara, Tanzania. Nowhere else. Recall the opening 4 lionesses charging a buffalo herd, horns tossing the hunters into the air. That was the lion on the ground, the embodiment of raw power. Here, they climb trees. Why? The leading hypothesis, to escape tsetse flies and ground-level heat. Higher up, the breeze is cooler, insects are fewer, and the vantage point far wider. What makes this remarkable is that tree climbing is not innate behavior. Researchers believe it is cultural, learned, and passed from one generation to the next. Just as chimpanzees teach their young to fashion tools, the lions of Ishasha teach their cubs to climb. Culture, not solely the domain of primates. An estimated 50 lions inhabit the Ishasha sector. Each individual carries within it a cultural habit found nowhere else on Earth, and once they vanish, this behavior vanishes with them. The lion, the very symbol of raw terrestrial power, has taught itself to change in order to survive. If the apex predator must adapt, no creature is exempt. From the river, where the crocodile lies motionless, to the channel where the hippopotamus declares war, to the swamp, where the shoebill stands frozen like a statue. From the savannah, where the leopard dissolves into shadow, the impala erupts skyward. The zebra gallops as a single mass. The giraffe rises above all competition. The eland walks on when water is gone. And the elephant reshapes the very landscape. To the forest canopy where the gorilla leads through presence, the chimpanzee hunts with strategy. And the lion king of the grasslands humbles itself to climb a branch. Every species, every life is an answer to the same question: what determines who survives? Uganda has answered. Not the strongest, not the fastest, but the one willing to change. In a land where everything runs to extremes, adaptation is not a choice. It is a masterpiece that nature has spent millions of years sculpting. And every species, from the motionless crocodile on the riverbank to the lion sleeping in the branches, is a page in that epic. That masterpiece is still being written. Every day, on every branch, in every river, beneath every canopy. Adapt or vanish. Uganda has chosen, and it still stands radiant, fierce, and unyielding. Thank you for joining WildVerse. The natural world still holds countless stories waiting to be told. We will see you on the next expedition. If you have not yet subscribed, now is the perfect time. Every creature carries within it a remarkable story, and WildVerse will continue to bring those stories to you.
In another corner of the savannah, a different master of the hunt is using the rain to its own advantage. The cheetah, the fastest creature on land, is crouched low amidst tall, emerald grasses. Unlike the lion, it does not rely on brute force, but wagers everything on precision and staggering speed. Its target is a gazelle, absorbed in grazing on the tender new shoots, entirely unaware of the death that stalks it. Each paw is placed with infinite care, disturbing not a single drop of water on the blades of grass. A golden blur erupts from the stillness, the cheetah reaching its top speed in mere seconds to close in on the unsuspecting gazelle. The gazelle jinks desperately across the wet ground, but the precision of the planet's fastest hunter is absolute. A perfectly timed swipe at the hind legs sends the prey tumbling, and the chase ends abruptly in a spray of mud and rainwater. The cheetah pauses, its chest heaving violently, desperately replenishing the oxygen spent in its phenomenal effort. On the rainy savannah, speed may secure a meal, but the price is utter exhaustion. It must consume its prize quickly, before the scent of blood attracts larger, more powerful claimants. In the cheetah's world, every moment is a race against time and the very limits of its own body. The rains have turned the grasslands into a lush garden, yet such abundance is never enough for millions of hungry mouths. The Great Migration has now become a colossal wave of life, moving with a single, unyielding purpose. Tens of thousands of wildebeest and zebra converge into a thundering mass of muscle stretching to the very horizon. Their ceaseless calls create a strange wall of sound, a primal chorus of anxiety and determination. At the heart of this turmoil are calves, only a few months old, struggling to keep up with the herd's relentless pace. All are heading towards the greatest obstacle of their journey, the one boundary that separates them from the fertile pastures of the north. This is the legendary Mara River. In the dry season, it can be little more than a shallow stream, but the heavy rains have transformed it into a furious, silt-red torrent. The scent of fresh grass from the far bank drifts on the wind, an irresistible invitation down a treacherous path. The herds gather on the steep banks, hesitating, intimidated by the power of the raging current at their feet. The pressure from behind mounts as thousands more arrive, pushing the leaders ever closer to the slippery precipice. Instinct warns them of the imminent danger, but hunger and the ancestral urge to move are stronger than any fear. There is no retreat, for the momentum of 1,000,000 lives is a force that cannot be halted by reason. This is a moment of supreme tension, where a single, desperate leap will decide the fate of thousands of others. Beneath the murky surface, immense dark shapes begin to stir, silently awaiting the greatest feast of the year. Finally, the pent-up tension on the Mara's bank exceeds the herd's endurance, as an old wildebeest, forced by the pressure from thousands behind, makes the fateful leap into the torrent. Instantly, a living waterfall follows, turning the already violent river into a maelstrom of chaos and spray. Beneath the turbid water, giant Nile crocodiles, creatures that have survived since the time of the dinosaurs, begin their patient hunt. They have no need for speed. The current and the crush of bodies deliver their prey directly into the path of their armored jaws. These predators have waited an entire year for this moment, and now they move like ghosts through the silt-laden water. A young zebra, separated from its mother, struggles for a foothold amongst the slick rocks and churning waves. In a flash, a cavernous snout erupts, clamping onto its target with a terrifying force of thousands of pounds. The struggle is brief, played out beneath the murky surface, where the notorious death roll extinguishes all hope of escape. Around them, thousands of others continue to trample over one another, swimming frantically towards the steep bank on the opposite side. Those wildebeest that escape the crocodile's jaws face another trial, climbing the sheer, slippery mud banks created by the rain. The weight of their waterlogged bodies and sheer exhaustion cause many to lose their footing, tumbling back into the river's deadly embrace. Many of the exhausted are simply swept downstream, where scavengers await an easy, delivered meal. The cries of the herd and the roar of the water create a tragic symphony, marking the harshest moment of their 1,000-mile journey. The Nile crocodiles take only a fraction, but their toll is the unavoidable price paid for the rest of the herd to continue its lineage. The river's surface is slowly stained with silt and blood, a testament to one of nature's most brutal dramas of survival. As the last of the animals scramble ashore, there is no time to look back. Instinct still urges them ever onward. The Mara River flows on, carrying with it the memory of the life and death struggle that has just concluded in its crimson waters. The survivors can now enjoy the rewards of their journey-rich pastures that will begin a new cycle of recovery and growth. This harsh balance is the very engine that has kept the heart of the Serengeti beating for millions of years. Water brings life, but it is also the ultimate arbiter, a law of iron that exists far beyond these East African plains. But the power of water is not confined to this place. It is part of a global pulse that now leads us across an ocean to a mesmerizing flooded labyrinth in South America, the Pantanal.
"10 million caimans, 68,000 square miles of wetland, and one rule above all others: adapt or vanish." This is the Pantanal at the peak of the dry season, when the earth cracks open like aged leather, when hundreds of rivers shrink to their final muddy pools. Yacaré caimans lie stacked upon one another, hundreds crammed into a single shrinking pond. They are nearly motionless, conserving every last calorie for a siege that will drag on for months. Some will bury themselves in the mud, slipping into a state of torpor that can last weeks on end. Others drag their armored bodies across the parched ground, searching for any water that remains. Not all of them will survive. But the Pantanal is far more than a story of caimans. The largest freshwater wetland on Earth spans 3 nations: Brazil, Bolivia, and Paraguay. More than 650 bird species, nearly 300 mammal species, and over 400 species of fish coexist across a landscape half the size of France. Here, every creature holds a link in the vast machinery that nature has assembled over millions of years. The question is not who is strongest, but who adapts best. Welcome to WildVerse, where we explore the most extraordinary stories the natural world has to offer. Today, WildVerse ventures into the heart of the Pantanal to witness the pulse of an ecosystem that UNESCO has recognized as a World Heritage Site. But when the waters retreat, who truly holds power here? The answer is not what anyone expects. As the sun scorches the floodplain and rivers contract like veins running dry, one species still walks calmly through the parched grassland. The capybara, the largest rodent on Earth. Weighing up to 140 pounds, the capybara resembles a fur-covered boulder drifting unhurriedly across the savannah. Its short legs are surprisingly quick. Its small eyes sit high on its head, perfectly adapted for watching the world while submerged. They live in large groups, 20, 30, sometimes more, always clustered together, like a family gathering that never ends. This social structure is no accident. In a land where predators lurk at every turn, collective vigilance is the only shield they possess. When one detects danger, a sharp alarm bark rings out, and the entire herd plunges into the water. Webbed feet transform capybaras into remarkably capable swimmers. They can hold their breath underwater for minutes at a time, exposing only their eyes and nostrils above the surface, a living periscope. Each day, a capybara consumes 6 to 8 pounds of grasses and aquatic plants. This ceaseless grazing reshapes the vegetation of the Pantanal, opening gaps for seedlings to sprout and sunlight to reach the forest floor. At dawn and dusk, they leave the water's edge to feed. In the fierce midday heat, they wallow in mud or rest beneath the shade. This rhythm is as reliable as clockwork, and every predator in the Pantanal knows the schedule by heart. But the capybara's most important role lies not in what it eats, but in being eaten. It is the cornerstone prey for nearly every large predator in the Pantanal. And the most formidable of them all is watching the herd from the opposite riverbank. Golden fur, marked with dark rosettes. This is the jaguar, the largest cat in the Americas and the undisputed ruler of the Pantanal. Pantanal jaguars are the largest individuals of their entire species. A mature male can weigh up to 300 pounds heavier than any jaguar in Central America. Unlike its relatives, the lion or the Asian tiger, The jaguar has a stockier build, a broader skull, and shorter jaws. This body design is no coincidence. It was forged by evolution for a single purpose. A bite force of 1500 psi, the most powerful of any cat relative to body size. Enough to crush a skull, punch through a turtle shell, and pierce the armored hide of a caiman. Where a lion strangles its prey, the jaguar chooses a more devastating method. A single bite to the skull. One strike. It is over. The Pantanal holds the highest jaguar density on Earth, roughly 6 to 7 individuals per 40 square miles. Nowhere else on the planet offers a better chance of observing this cat in the wild. That rosette pattern is more than beautiful. It is a flawless camouflage map. Among thick forest and flooded marshland, the jaguar dissolves into the landscape. Prey recognize its presence only when it is already too late. What sets Pantanal jaguars apart is that they swim, and they swim well. No other big cat on the planet is as comfortable in water as the jaguar. They wade across rivers, dive into marshes, and ambush yacaré caimans in the reptile's own domain. A lightning strike canine is driven into the base of the skull, and a 6-foot caiman is hauled ashore in under 10 seconds. But the jaguar is more than a killer. By controlling capybara and caiman populations, it maintains the fragile equilibrium upon which the entire Pantanal depends. Without the jaguar, capybaras multiply unchecked. Grasslands are stripped bare, soil erodes, and the flood cycle, the very heartbeat of the Pantanal, breaks down. Scientists call this a trophic cascade. When an apex species vanishes, every layer beneath it collapses in turn. Tragically, this magnificent cat is under threat. Habitat loss, conflict with cattle ranchers, and poaching have driven populations into decline. The IUCN lists the jaguar as near threatened. Across Latin America, its historical range has contracted by more than 50%. Protecting the jaguar, therefore, is not merely about saving one species. It is about safeguarding the entire web of life it governs. But power in the Pantanal does not belong to the land alone. Along the flowing waterways, where the jaguar sometimes still prowls, another predator reigns supreme. The giant otter, known as arirana in Portuguese, is the largest member of the weasel family on Earth. Stretching nearly 6 feet from nose to tail, its muscular body clad in short, dark brown fur, the arirana is built for speed beneath the surface. Unlike the solitary jaguar, giant otters live as families. Groups of 3 to 8, sometimes as many as 20, are led by a dominant breeding pair. They are born cooperative hunters. Underwater, they encircle schools of fish in coordinated formations, not unlike a wolf pack driving prey across the steppe, except the battlefield lies beneath the surface. Few communication systems in the animal kingdom rival that of the giant otter, more than 22 distinct vocalizations. From piercing alarm screams, to soft contact whistles, to deep-throated growls, aimed at intruders, each sound carries a specific message. Fish make up most of their diet, but giant otters will not hesitate to confront young caimans. Using a strategy of swarming and simultaneous attack, the group can drive off a caiman 3 times their own size. A broad, flattened tail serves as a rudder, allowing the otter to change direction in an instant while chasing piranha along the riverbed. Yet the strength of numbers cannot protect the giant otter from the gravest threat it faces. The IUCN classifies this species as endangered. Fewer than 5,000 individuals remain in the wild. Water pollution, deforestation, and illegal gold mining are poisoning the very rivers they depend upon. Mercury from mining operations accumulates in fish and then in the otters themselves. Giant otter health mirrors the health of the waterways. When the otters disappear, it is a sign that the river itself is dying. But danger in the Pantanal does not come only from the water. Onshore, beneath the forest canopy, another predator is on the move. Silent enough that not even the dry leaves betray its step. The puma, also known as the cougar or mountain lion, is the wildcat with the widest range in the Western Hemisphere. From the snow-capped peaks of Canada to the wind-swept tip of Patagonia, no cat has conquered more habitats than the puma. In the Pantanal, the puma lives in the jaguar's shadow, smaller, lighter, but no less dangerous. A uniform coat, ranging from tawny beige to ashen grey, allows the puma to blend into any landscape. Dense forest or dry grassland, flooded marsh or highland plateau, all of it is puma territory. A solitary hunter, the puma relies on ambush and explosive speed over short distances. One precise leap, one blinding pounce, and a capybara or marsh deer has no chance to react. A single puma's territory can span dozens of square miles. It patrols ceaselessly, traversing its boundaries each night. Claw marks on tree trunks and scent markings speak a wordless language, warning every intruder that this ground is claimed. Puma and jaguar coexisting in the Pantanal is remarkably rare proof that this ecosystem is rich enough to sustain two apex cats at once. But the forest floor of the Pantanal belongs to more than big cats. Beneath the canopy, smaller but no less vital inhabitants are beginning their day. The coati, a relative of the North American raccoon, emerges in bands of 4 to 30, its long, flexible snout forever probing the soil. That snout is the ultimate multi-tool, sniffing out insects hidden beneath the earth, overturning roots, and extracting scorpions that other species dare not touch. Coatis are also exceptional climbers. Sharp claws and a long tail carry them up and down tree trunks with ease. That tail serves as a balancing pole on slender branches, much like the staff of a tightrope walker. Coati social life is surprisingly complex. Bands communicate constantly through chirps, grunts, and whistles. When threatened, they unleash piercing screams, and the entire group may band together to drive off an attacker, even a snake. Adult males typically live alone outside the band. They return only during the mating season, then depart once more, wandering the forest in solitude. Sharing the canopy with the coati is the capuchin monkey, one of the most intelligent primates in South America. The capuchin uses dexterous hands and a prehensile tail that grips like a coil of rope to move through the treetops. Its speed through the canopy is impressive, but what makes the capuchin truly remarkable is not speed, it is intelligence. They have been documented using stones to crack open hard nuts, and palm fruits, one of the very few primates outside the great apes capable of tool use. Each stone is chosen with care, not too heavy to lift, not too light to generate force. Each strike is a small calculation in physics that many scientists believe has been passed down through generations by observation and imitation. Living in complex social groups, capuchins communicate through a diverse system of calls and gestures. They share the location of food, warn of danger, and groom one another within the troop, a miniature society suspended in the treetops. By eating fruit and dispersing seeds, both coatis and capuchins play an invisible but essential role, the unwitting gardeners of the Pantanal forest. If you find the intelligence of the wild as captivating as we do, share your thoughts in the comments below. But if the coati and capuchin represent restless energy, the next species represents something entirely opposite the raw power of sound. Before the sun clears the treetops, a deep, resonant boom rolls through the forest low, reverberating like a war drum from a distant land. It is the call of the howler monkey. That sound pierces through the canopy and carries up to 3 miles, one of the loudest calls of any land animal on Earth. The secret lies in the hyoid bone, a U-shaped structure unusually enlarged within the throat. It functions as a natural resonance chamber, amplifying the call many times beyond what the animal's size would suggest. But here is the surprise. That earth-shaking roar is not an act of aggression. It is a weapon of peace. By broadcasting their location through sound, howler troops avoid direct physical conflict, conserving energy in an environment where every calorie counts. A curious study revealed that howler species with larger hyoid bones tend to have smaller testes, and vice versa. Evolution forced a choice: invest in the voice or invest in reproduction. Black and gold howlers in the Pantanal live in small troops, feeding primarily on leaves, flowers, and fruit. They move less than capuchins, spending most of their time on the highest branches, where safety is greatest. Adult males wear a coat of pure black. Females and juveniles are draped in golden fur. This striking contrast gives the species its name, the black and gold howler, as though one animal wears 2 entirely different costumes. Their call awakens the forest each dawn and closes each dusk, the essential soundtrack of the Pantanal. It connects the forest floor to the canopy, silence to sound, reminding every creature that this forest is still breathing. And as the last echoes of the howler fade among the leaves, a streak of brilliant blue cuts across the sky. Vivid enough that the entire forest seems to look up. The hyacinth macaw, known locally as Ara azul, is the largest flying parrot in the world, with a wingspan exceeding 4 feet. Plumage of deep cobalt blue, a ring of bright yellow around each eye, and the base of its beak, the hyacinth macaw is a masterpiece that nature spent millions of years perfecting. They typically appear in pairs or small flocks, flying with powerful wing beats while projecting resonant calls. Those calls slice through the stillness of the Pantanal's dawn, and dusk a sound at once wild and ceremonial. The hyacinth macaw mates for life. The bond between each pair is so strong that they are seldom more than a few yards apart. Even while foraging, they fly wing to wing, 2 parallel streaks of blue gliding across the sky. Their primary food is the nut of the acuri, and bocayuva palm seeds so hard that only the macaw's enormous beak can crack them. That crushing force can split nuts. A hammer would need several blows to open. Every meal is an exercise in raw power. But there is a troubling truth. Only approximately 6,500 hyacinth macaws remain in the wild. The IUCN lists them as vulnerable. Illegal pet trade and habitat destruction have pushed this species toward the edge. The Pantanal is their last stronghold, home to roughly 76% of the entire global hyacinth macaw population. Lose the Pantanal, and we will almost certainly lose the hyacinth macaw forever. Sharing the canopy with the macaw, another bird commands attention with a beak unlike any other, the toucan. A brilliant orange bill, stretching nearly half its body length, yet astonishingly light. Its hollow interior resembles a honeycomb, both structurally sound and virtually weightless, an engineering masterwork of evolution. That bill is not merely for picking fruit. Scientists have discovered it also functions as a biological radiator. Blood flowing through a network of capillaries across the bill's surface allows the toucan to shed excess body heat at night, a natural cooling fan. Toucans feed on fruit, insects, and occasionally the eggs of smaller birds. When eating, they toss fruit into the air and snatch it mid-flight like a juggler in a circus. Undigested seeds are deposited far from the feeding site, spreading new growth throughout the forest. Toucans do not fly far. They hop from branch to branch with short bursts of flight, flashing their glossy black plumage and multicolored bill. That bill is like a moving flag among the green canopy, unmistakable from a distance. Lower down, in the denser reaches of the forest, a chorus of chatter rises, but it is not human. The green parrot, known as the Papagayo verdadero, is among the finest vocal mimics on the planet. Vivid green plumage accented with blue at the wings, the green parrot lives in lively flocks. They constantly share food and alert one another. Every call carries meaning, from danger warnings to announcements of a new food source. A strong, curved beak serves as a specialized tool, cracking open tough seed casings that other birds cannot manage. They feed on seeds, fruit, and flowers, playing an essential role in seed dispersal and the regeneration of the forest canopy. These three birds, the hyacinth macaw, the toucan, and the green parrot, do more than bring color to the Pantanal. They are its silent architects, renewing the forest each day by scattering seeds across the landscape. But that brilliant blue is fading. And it is not only the birds. The entire ecosystem faces a threat this story will soon reveal. Leaving the forest canopy, stepping out onto the vast open grasslands, a realm where nothing can hide. Speed is the only currency of value here. The great rhea, the largest bird in the Americas, strides across the Pantanal grasslands with the confidence of an animal that knows it has few rivals. This is a flightless bird, but it compensates with a running speed of up to 37 miles per hour. Enough to outpace most predators. And when running, its large wings spread wide like sails, providing balance through sudden turns. In the rhea, the rules of gender are completely reversed. The male incubates the eggs. The male raises the chicks. The female lays her clutch and moves on sometimes to the territory of another male to lay again. A single male rhea may incubate up to 50 eggs, at once contributed by several different females. Each egg weighs roughly 1.5 pounds. He sits motionless on the nest for 6 weeks, rarely leaving even to eat. Newly hatched chicks follow their father immediately, a tiny convoy trailing a giant, standing nearly 5 feet tall. It resembles a peculiar parade crossing the endless grassland. Its diet is varied: leaves, seeds, insects, even small lizards. By consuming seeds and ranging widely, they disperse plant species across the plains, maintaining the botanical diversity that the grassland depends upon to survive. But on the open plains, the rhea is not the only ruler. The shadow of broad wings passes over the ground. Slow, confident, in no hurry at all. The caracara, a bird of the falcon family that behaves nothing like a falcon, is the shrewdest opportunist in the Pantanal sky. Dark plumage, in sharp contrast with a pale face and a powerful hooked beak, the caracara could easily be mistaken for an eagle. But it is far more pragmatic than any eagle. The caracara both hunts and scavenges, taking mice and lizards as readily as carcasses baked by the sun. It will even walk along the ground searching for food, unusual behavior for a raptor, but remarkably effective. This adaptability allows the caracara to thrive in any condition, from flooded wetlands to scorched grasslands. Intelligence and flexibility enable it to exploit food sources that other raptors overlook entirely. By consuming carrion, the caracara serves as nature's cleanup crew, preventing the spread of disease and keeping the ecosystem clean. An unglamorous job, but an indispensable one. Rhea on the ground, caracara in the sky. Two species, two strategies, but a single purpose: sustaining life across the boundless plains. And then, as if the Pantanal knows when it must save itself, dark clouds gather along the horizon. The rains return. Water pours down from the Brazilian highlands, surging through thousands of rivers, filling every crack in the parched earth. Within weeks, the Pantanal is transformed. The mud pools where caimans lay stacked in desperation are now vast, gleaming lakes. 10 million caimans disperse once more. Each reclaims its own territory. Each begins a new cycle of hunting. Capybaras return to the riverbanks. Giant otters raise their voices in greeting. Jaguars withdraw into deeper forest, where prey is more scattered, but the water runs cooler. Hyacinth macaws cut across clear skies. Howler monkeys greet the new dawn with their thunderous chorus. Toucans hop among rain-washed branches. The pulse of the Pantanal, the flood and the drought, is not a catastrophe. It is the self-correcting mechanism that this ecosystem has operated for millions of years. Each rise and fall renews, cleanses, and rebalances everything. Every species here, from the smallest caiman to the dominant jaguar, is synchronized to that pulse. When one link is damaged, the entire system shudders. What do you think makes the Pantanal so awe-inspiring? Let WildVerse know in the comments below. But that pulse is faltering. In 2020, the Pantanal suffered the worst wildfire disaster in modern recorded history. "30% of its surface was incinerated, nearly 4.5 million acres reduced to ash in a matter of weeks. And perhaps that is the lesson the Pantanal offers us, that true greatness lies not in the power of the largest, but in the harmony among all. Thank you for joining WildVerse. The natural world still holds countless stories waiting to be told. We will see you on the next adventure. Two seasons, two entirely different worlds, and between them, a survival experiment lasting millions of years with no guiding hand. What holds this fragile web of life from collapsing when the very ground beneath it changes completely twice each year? Welcome to WildVerse, where we explore the most extraordinary stories the natural world has kept hidden. Before we venture deeper into this land, hit subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss a journey with WildVerse. And let us know in the comments, where are you watching from? But to understand Liuwa, you must first meet the species that vanished from it, then returned from nothing. As the first light of dawn touches the tips of the grass, a deep roar rises from the east, carrying across 5 miles of open plain, unstoppable. Lions. For decades, they had vanished from Liuwa. Poaching and illegal hunting in the 1990s wiped out the entire lion population here. By 2002, only a single individual remained. Lady Liuwa, the last lioness. She wandered the empty savannah for years, a solitary figure in a vast landscape where no answering roar ever came. Researchers recounted how she would seek out the glow of human campfires, lying down beside smoldering coals as though the warmth of another species might soothe her loneliness. Her story, brought to the screen by National Geographic in 2010 as the last lioness, became a global symbol of ecological loss and of hope. In 2008, African parks began reintroducing lions from Kafue National Park. Lady Liuwa could not bear cubs of her own, but she adopted and helped raise the offspring of the newly arrived females. She passed away in August 2017 at the age of 17. Her legacy, the new pride, lives on. Among them stood Bon Jovi, a striking male with a thick, dark mane, named after the legendary rock star. He reclaimed territory, marking the return of the roar to plains that had fallen silent. Though Bon Jovi was later relocated to Kafue due to conflict with local communities, his story proved that nature can recover if humans allow it. Today, more than 20 lions hold stable territories across Liuwa, a living testament to the power of conservation. Lions live in prides, typically 1 or 2 adult males, several related females, and their cubs. They are the only large cat capable of tactical cooperation in both hunting and territorial defense. During the dry season, when the food chain is stretched to its limit, lions rely on pack strength and ambush tactics, especially at waterholes, where thirst dulls the vigilance of prey. A fact rarely mentioned. It is the lionesses who drive every strategic hunt. They coordinate ambushes with near mathematical precision, favoring twilight or early dawn. The males, with their heavy manes, seldom participate directly. Their primary role is territory defense, maintaining bloodlines, and confronting external threats. A thick mane is not merely attractive to females, it serves as a biological shield, protecting the neck during brutal territorial battles. The lion's roar, one of the most iconic sounds of the savannah, carries up to 5 miles, declaring the presence and dominion of the apex predator. Yet, despite this coordination, only 20 to 30% of attacks end in success. Every failure carries consequences. Prolonged starvation threatens the pride, especially cubs too young to participate. But in Liuwa, lions are not the dominant force. With an estimated 200 to 300 individuals, spotted hyenas are the true power of these plains. Contrary to their popular image as scavengers, modern behavioral ecology reveals that over 70% of a spotted hyena's diet comes from prey they hunt themselves. Across many ecosystems, their hunting success rate reaches roughly 1 in 3 equal to or exceeding lions under the same conditions. The secret lies in the jaw. A spotted hyena's bite force is sufficient to crush large bones, horns, even hooves, materials most predators must abandon. The ability to digest nearly the entire carcass, including calcium from bone, makes them the most efficient link in the ecosystem's nutrient recycling chain. Their hunting tactics are remarkably flexible. They can hunt solo, in pairs, or coordinate in small teams of 4 to 6. In special circumstances, such as the wildebeest calving season, dozens converge to apply pressure and fragment herds, isolating the most vulnerable targets. Siege and harassment behavior, particularly frequent in January and February at Liuwa, when conditions favor optimal hunting, attests to their exceptional tactical cooperation. Spotted hyena society follows an absolute matriarchal hierarchy, one of the most complex social ranking systems among mammals. Each clan can number up to 80 individuals. Females hold complete authority. Even the lowest-ranking female outranks the highest-ranking male. Rank is determined not by strength alone, but by lineage. Daughters of high-ranking females automatically inherit privileged status, a form of dynastic power rare in the natural world. Their communication system surpasses that of any other predator, over 11 distinct vocalizations, spanning an impressively broad emotional spectrum. The characteristic laugh signals submission. Moaning and high-pitched calls transmit complex social information across miles of grassland. Spotted hyenas thrive across diverse terrain, from open savanna to sparse woodland and semi-arid zones active both day and night, each clan's territory extending up to nearly 400 square miles. But even the rulers of the plains must yield to what is coming the dry season. The dry season descends on Liuwa without warning. Water evaporates, earth cracks. The temperatures swing between day and night, climbs to nearly 55 degrees Fahrenheit. And on that scorched earth, a faint paw print barely visible, the sole evidence of the most solitary hunter on the plains. The cheetah, the fastest land animal on Earth. Its body is an engineering masterpiece, 40 million years of evolution sculpted for a single purpose: speed. A long, hyperflexible spine functions like a coiled spring, stretching and compressing with each stride to maximize reach. Long, slender legs operate as precision levers. Semi-retractable claws, unlike any other cats, grip the ground like a sprinter's cleats. This delivers superior traction through every turn and burst of acceleration, each stride a perfect equation of speed and control. "70 miles per hour, 0 to 60 in 3 seconds faster than most supercars on the planet. But that speed exacts a price. Each chase lasts less than a minute and rarely exceeds 1,000 feet. Peak velocity drives body temperature to dangerous thresholds, forcing mandatory rest after every pursuit, regardless of outcome. On its coat, every black spot against tawny fur is unique, like a fingerprint. No two individuals are identical. These markings also aid recognition within small hunting groups across open terrain. The large, rounded ears not only capture distant sounds with remarkable clarity, but also assist in heat dissipation, a vital advantage under Liuwa's scorching sun. Here, only a handful of cheetahs have been recorded. Faint prints in fine dust are sometimes the only proof of their existence. In a landscape of deepening drought and intensifying competition, the cheetah's survival stands as the purest example of specialized evolution where speed and strategy converge into a supreme art. Beneath the cloudless dry season sky, a wingspan exceeding 8 feet glides slowly through scorching air, as though the vastness above were merely a familiar stage for its patrols. The martial eagle, Africa's largest eagle. With a body length approaching 3 feet 8 inches and weight up to 14 pounds, that imposing frame is paired with talon grip strong enough to fracture a human forearm. But its most remarkable feature is not size, it is vision. In the clear conditions of Liuwa's dry season, a martial eagle can detect prey from nearly 4 miles. A detection range virtually unmatched by any other predator in the ecosystem. When the calculation is perfect, it descends in a stoop, reaching 100 miles per hour. 2 feet strike like javelins launched from above, precise and merciless. During the dry season, as prey ranges farther in search of water, the martial eagle extends its hunting territory significantly, flying dozens of miles each day while maintaining cautious distance from human activity. Even atop the aerial food chain, the martial eagle is not immune to extinction. As of the IUCN's 2024 assessment, classified endangered. Causes are multifaceted. Habitat loss from agricultural expansion, collisions with power infrastructure, secondary poisoning from contaminated carcasses, and persecution, often rooted in the mistaken belief they threaten livestock. With slow reproduction and vast territorial needs, even minor environmental changes can carry severe consequences for the species' survival. As the eagle completes its stoop, the grassland sinks into weighted silence. Below, against dried grass stretching to the horizon, a massive form moves with quiet, immovable strength. The African buffalo, weighing up to nearly 2,000 pounds, standing almost 5.5 feet at the shoulder, the embodiment of collective endurance. Curved horns form a solid bone plate called the boss, shielding the skull in combat and becoming lethal weaponry against any natural enemy. Unlike wildebeest or zebra, buffalo do not leave liua seasonally. They move laterally within the landscape from higher ground to wherever fresh grass sprouts after rain. Their routes are guided by accumulated experience and the collective memory of the oldest members, an invisible map, accurate down to every stream. Smell is the critical sense. Buffalo detect water and identify threats from over a mile away, allowing the entire herd to adjust course before danger draws near. Social structure is built on cohesion and tight coordination. Each herd may number from a few dozen to over 300, led by the patience and wisdom of its most senior members. When confronted by danger, they do not scatter. Instead, a living fortress forms. The largest males front the line, shielding females and calves at the center. Multiple cases of lions killed during coordinated counterattacks have been documented, testament to collective power and protective instincts passed through generations. Each adult consumes approximately 33 pounds of dry grass per day, the fuel required to sustain that massive frame. Large-scale grazing controls vegetation height, creating pathways for ground-nesting birds and smaller herbivores. And then, amidst a grassland on the verge of transformation, the first raindrops fall. The wet season arrives, but it brings no safety. It brings an entirely different kind of danger. Water rises. Dry grassland converts into a vast wetland system. And in this half-water, half-land world, one species has been ready all along. The red lechwe born to live between two worlds. With long, narrow hooves, the red lechwe glides through mud with almost surreal lightness, as though its very existence was shaped for this terrain. Dark markings on the forelegs stand out like symbols painted by nature itself, helping individuals recognize each other through mist and the chorus of frogs blanketing the plain. At Liuwa, approximately 700 red lechwe live year-round. Unlike wildebeest, they do not migrate far but adjust position by water level. They advance as fresh grass sprouts at the water's edge, retreating when floods submerge the plains entirely. Adult males stand about 4 feet tall and weigh around 265 pounds. Their coats carry a natural waterproofing oil that maintains body temperature even during hours of immersion in cold floodwaters. When pursued by predators, the entire herd plunges into deep water, a tactic few hunters dare follow. In water, red lechwe move with speed and agility, causing pursuers to lose traction, momentum, or abandon the chase altogether. They rely not on raw speed or brute strength, but on mastery of environment, knowing how to flow with the current, selecting the right grasses, and avoiding treacherous depths. Their peaceful coexistence with zebra and wildebeest, without direct competition, reinforces lechwe's role as an essential link in the wetland ecosystem. They regulate aquatic plant biomass and create safe corridors for water birds. And in the rising muddy waters, from the horizon 45,000 silhouettes slowly materialize. "45,000, the second largest terrestrial migration in Africa, surpassed only by the millions flowing across the Serengeti and Mara. Wildebeest do not wait for rain to move. They sense the shift before the first storm through moisture in the wind, distant thunder, and subtle changes in the resonance of the earth beneath their hooves. This migration is not a random journey. It is an annual cycle encoded across countless generations. Every strip of land, every patch of grass, every waterhole already remembered by ancestors from millennia past. They traverse waterlogged depressions and cross streams along routes cutting through the Liwa floodplain. Though shorter than the famous Serengeti migration, the path here is no less perilous. Predators are always watching. The deep, characteristic call of the males carries over a mile, an acoustic signal cutting through grassland to maintain herd contact. Beyond sound, they use scent trails from interdigital glands on their feet, combined with urine and dung to delineate territory and reinforce social bonds. When danger strikes, the herd forms a defensive circle by instinct calves at the center, adults facing outward. The movement resembles a tornado, sweeping across the flooded plain, visually striking, yet deeply strategic. Without a single leader, they rely on constant mutual observation. Ethologists call it swarm intelligence, a biological mechanism allowing response to threats as a unified organism. At the end of the wet season, breeding begins. After approximately 8.5 months of gestation, females give birth just as the grassland starts to dry. Wider sight lines across drying plains, sharpened predator detection timing birth to terrain is no accident. Within minutes of birth, a calf stands. Shortly after, it runs alongside its mother, a biological imperative for a species whose life is defined by perpetual motion. The wildebeest is the tireless gardener of the savannah. By cropping short grass, they create space for taller grasses and shrubs to flourish elsewhere. Continuous movement supports soil regeneration and nutrient cycling. When an individual falls, its body does not mark an ending. It triggers countless new food chains. The last breath of a wildebeest continues to sustain lions, vultures, and the very earth itself. If this migration has captivated you, share with WildVerse in the comments. What makes Liuwa so remarkable to you? Alongside the wildebeest, plains zebra appear in impressive numbers during the wet season, thousands converging from the park's edges toward the center seeking fresh grass. Unlike the wildebeest's strategic endurance, zebra rely on rigid social structure and keen observational skills to survive. They live in small, stable units called harems, one dominant stallion, several mares, and their foals. This is the fundamental building block of zebra society. Each individual carries a completely unique stripe pattern, like a fingerprint, no two alike. Science has studied their thermoregulatory potential through air convection between heat-absorbing dark and heat-reflecting light zones. Stripes also create visual confusion for blood-sucking insects, making landing difficult, a subtle evolutionary advantage few species possess. Adults weigh between 485 and 660 pounds, standing 4 to 4.5 feet at the shoulder. Gestation lasts 12 to 13 months. Foals are born at the end of the wet season, when grass remains abundant. Within minutes, a newborn stands and follows its mother, instant adaptation for a life defined by movement. When danger appears, the lead stallion immediately intervenes, blocking the formation or attracting the predator's attention to buy time for the group's escape. Bonds within each harem are maintained through mutual grooming, body contact, and a complex signaling system, from resonant barks to subtle ear and tail movements. When food is plentiful and the plains stretch wide, multiple harems merge into larger aggregations, bolstering safety in numbers and forming formidable migratory forces. High above, against the open vault of sky, another pair of wings silently patrols the white-backed vulture. With wingspans from 6.5 to 7.5 feet and weight up to 16 pounds, they are the silent biological stewards of the entire ecosystem. The distinctive white back, most visible with wings, spread along with a bare head and neck, permits deep immersion into carcasses without infection risk. During the dry season, when herbivore mortality spikes from dehydration, the white-backed vulture's role becomes more critical than ever. They converge in flocks of hundreds, capable of stripping a medium-sized carcass clean in under an hour. An extraordinarily powerful digestive system neutralizes disease-causing bacteria without harm, a vital function preventing epidemics across wildlife populations. Historical population estimates stood at approximately 270,000. Today, the white-backed vulture has declined over 80%, classified critically endangered by the IUCN. The primary cause: poisoning from pesticide, contaminated carcasses, veterinary drugs like diclofenac, or deliberate baiting intended for predators. They are collateral victims in a war not aimed at them. Below, on water-reflecting sky, another figure emerges. The African fish eagle, Zambia's national bird symbol of freedom, strength, and untamed spirit. With a wingspan of nearly 8 feet, it is light enough to glide effortlessly above marshes, yet powerful enough to strike in a fraction of a second with absolute precision. Feet lined with small hook-like spines grip slippery fish even mid-flight, then carry the catch hundreds of feet back to the nest without pause. They maintain a lifelong monogamous bond. Each year they return to the same nest, a massive construction of dry branches spanning and rising over 6 feet, anchored in large riverside trees. The wet season is not only prime hunting time, but also marks the breeding season. Yet the fish eagle does not limit itself to self-caught prey when opportunity arises. It robs food from herons and egrets, a behavior called kleptoparasitism. As rains pour and marshes swell, a new symphony begins waterbirds. Liuwa hosts over 300 bird species, but during the wet season, a few stand above all. The grey-crowned crane, standing approximately 3 feet 3 inches tall, wingspan reaching 6.5 feet, crowned by a golden plume. The only crane species capable of perching in trees, thanks to a long hind toe, an evolutionary inheritance from tree-dwelling ancestors. Their courtship ritual is among nature's most spectacular dances, bowing, spreading wings, leaping into the air, culminating in a ceremonial bow, a declaration of love requiring no sound. They maintain enduring monogamous bonds, sharing responsibilities of raising young and defending territory. Outside breeding season, grey-crowned cranes gather in large flocks, sometimes 150 strong. According to the IUCN, the grey-crowned crane is classified endangered global population only 20,000 to nearly 25,000 mature individuals, declining due to wetland loss, pollution, and illegal trade. Beside them, the saddle-billed stork, one of Africa's tallest wading birds, standing nearly 5 feet with wingspan, exceeding 8 feet steps quietly through the shallows. Its deep red bill, with a bright yellow saddle near the base, is not merely identification, but a specialized hunting tool, 71% guided by vision and the remainder by refined tactile sensitivity. And the great egret, pristine white plumage, long dark legs, stands motionless for minutes amid shallow water. Then a yellow spear-like bill strikes forward with near instantaneous speed. Patience is its most sophisticated weapon. At this moment, Liuwa's ecosystem operates like a complete symphony, each species an instrument, each season a movement. But the symphony is not always played to completion. In 2024, Zambia endured its most devastating drought in over 2 decades, a direct consequence of increasingly extreme El Niño events driven by global climate change. Rainfall plummeted. Marshes dried ahead of schedule. Natural food sources collapsed, pushing both wildlife and human communities into extreme hardship. On February 29, 2024, the Zambian government declared a national disaster. 84 of 116 districts were affected, including the western province, home to Liuwa Plain. As water retreated from grasslands and rivers ran dry, the pressure of survival weighed on wildlife and humans alike. Many community members who protect Liuwa, those on the front lines of conservation, also fell into severe hardship. The Barotse Community Resource Board coordinated with 10 action groups, deploying a $250,000 relief program. Food supplies were distributed to 100 households across 10 of the most severely affected communities. What is unfolding at Liuwa is part of a larger story. Climate change is redefining the planet. The fate of Liuwa, like so many ecosystems, depends directly on decisions humans are making right now. But Liuwa does not surrender. African Parks has managed this land since 2003, over 20 years of sustained partnership with the Zambia Wildlife Authority and the Barotse Royal Establishment. The successful reintroduction of keystone species, lions, buffalo, African wild dogs, marked a turning point for the ecosystem. Not only did they survive, they bred successfully, proof of nature's capacity for recovery when given proper protection. Over 95% of Liuwa's conservation workforce are local community members. Camera traps and GPS tracking combined with indigenous knowledge have built a sustainable monitoring model where humans and nature find balance. The annual migration of 45,000 wildebeest continues to mark the unchanging biological rhythm of the floodplain. Every footstep fertilizes the grass, encourages the return of hundreds of rare bird species, and restores the chain of ecological balance. Protecting wild nature is not merely preserving biodiversity, it is also safeguarding climate stability and the ecological future for generations yet to come. And as night returns over Liuwa Plain, in the familiar darkness where every story began, a footstep lands on the earth. Gentle, precise, silent. The leopard, the silent sovereign, continues its patrol, a solitary force that never needs to declare dominion, only to exist. It drags its kill high into a tree beyond the reach of scavengers below. In the wet season, when water washes away scent markers on the ground, it marks territory with claw scratches on bark and a low growl cutting through the darkness. Each litter typically includes 1 to 3 cubs. They remain hidden for the first weeks, and hunting training does not begin until approximately 4 months of age. According to the IUCN, the leopard is classified vulnerable populations declining from human-wildlife conflict, poaching, and habitat loss. But here at Liuwa, under African Parks protection, the species still finds sanctuary. This land belongs to no one. It belongs to every footstep that has crossed it, and every one that will. The last migration is not a migration that ends everything. It is the migration every species must complete so that life continues. Thank you for journeying with WildVerse. The natural world still holds countless stories waiting to be told. See you on the next expedition.